So today we're going to talk about juggling balls in life, right? Or there's another way to call it, and that is plate spinning, spinning too many plates, right? And how many is too much, right? Because we all have that situation, don't we, where like everyone's got multiple things to juggle in their life, right? Personal, professional. You know, you've got the house, maybe family, kids, all that kind of thing, whatever, right? And you've also got to go to work. You might have to organise some personal things in life, go to the gym, whatever, right? So it becomes, you can end up getting into a situation where you have too many things to juggle. And, you know, when you do get there, one of the issues with having too many things to juggle is, I'm guilty of this, you find yourself getting a bit overwhelmed by it, and what you can end up doing is you start to do the meaningless things first, right? So you start to sort of, you know, you find yourself in this position where you're doing things just to look busy. You know, you want to look busy, right? That looking busy and feeling busy and people saying, oh, you're busy, it almost makes you feel like you're getting somewhere, but you're not actually achieving anything, because if you've got things that you really need to do, you tend to procrastinate and find excuses to do other meaningless tasks, right? So this is what happens when you get overwhelmed, and it's when you take on too much, right? When you're trying to do everything all at once. So, you know, how do you get around that, right? Because if you end up trying to do everything all at once and you've got so much on, you end up running into kind of like a place where you just stall, right? And you get into like fatigue, and you just get overwhelmed. You feel like you can't achieve anything, and you start messing around, procrastinating around the things you shouldn't do. So how do you get around it, right? Well, first, I think that you can juggle multiple balls at once. I think you shouldn't try to do too many. I always think that you should aim for about 3 or 4 goals maximum. So 3 or 4 things that you want to achieve at once, right? And make only one of them a primary goal, right? Maybe 2 at the most, but really 1 is always a primary goal. 1 is your main thing that you're working on. So it's okay to juggle all these different balls, but there's always one thing that you really want to work, right? So you can do this if you create a plan, right? If you actually write it down and create a plan, know what your goals are, right? And create a list of actions, right? And it's not a to-do list. These are like actions, things that will get you closer to that goal. Things that if you do them, will get you closer to that goal. Now, if you write a lot of things down for each of your goal, let's say you write like a big long list, you don't have to actually do them all. You do enough to achieve the goal. Once you've achieved the goal, you don't have to do the rest of the list, right? So you create a plan, right? And only one of them is a primary goal. And the next thing you do is every day, like during the day, let's say you've got your average day where you just feel like you're overwhelmed and you've got to get everything ready. You get up and you feel like you've got no time. You've got to maybe get family ready, maybe you've got kids to get ready, and then get to work, right? You've got to create a small amount of time to approach your day with intent. This is why I journal, right? So I write down 3 things that I'm going to do that day, right? So approach your day with some intent. And just look at what are the top 3 things that I need to do today. So if you think you're overwhelmed, hey, how are you doing? So you're overwhelmed, right? You've got so much to do and you feel like you're getting swamped with it all. Just write down the top 3 things of that day, right? And they only need to be small actions, and just make sure that you achieve those things, right? Whatever you do. And this is where, when you start your day with a bit of intent, you've got to be super disciplined on them 3 things. So if you feel like you're overwhelmed, yes, you've got all these things to do, And most of the things that you're doing are not getting you anywhere. They're just, you know, you're either procrastinating by avoiding what you should do, by finding other things to do, looking busy, running around, or the things that you're doing tend to be for other people or whatever, right? So whatever you do, make sure you focus on those top 3 things a day, right? And that is basically how you juggle multiple balls. Because every day, you can't actually work on multiple things at once. You're only ever working on one thing. But if you have that plan, and then you approach each day with intent, you can actually achieve multiple things, because you can work on different things each day, because you're doing it to a plan. You're not just sort of, you know, allowing yourself to go off. And also during the day, during an average day, hey, how are you doing? During the average day, you might have you ever had a problem where you have to context switch, like switch between different things at the drop of a hat, and maybe somebody rings you up and say, can you just do this, or you just do that, and you feel yourself being pulled from pillar to post, right? This is again why you should use the top three things of the day, because to avoid context switching, it takes discipline. You just write down, what are the 3 things I'm going to do today, and you work on them, right? And you work on them earliest, right? So you start in the morning, you write down your intent, you know what you're doing, and then you get them 3 things a day, them 3 things done first thing in the morning. Once you've got them out of the way, the rest of the day doesn't matter. This is the thing, right? So if you just work on those 3 things today, right, and let's say you finish them all in the morning, wouldn't you feel great, because they are working towards your plan? And then the rest of the day doesn't matter. You can accept people. Hello, how you doing? You can accept people sort of ringing you up, context switching you, pulling you from pillar to post. The way to avoid that context switching, that is, you know, juggling balls and then juggling everyone else's balls. You've got to basically enforce some discipline on your top 3 things a day. And that is it, really. Once you've done those 3 things, you can relax. You know, you can accept all the phone calls and everything else. And yeah, that's it, really. So we do, you know, just back to the title, how many balls can you juggle? Loads. You can actually do this, but you need a plan. You can't just sort of have them in your head. Oh yeah, coffee, look at my new cup today. Fantastic, isn't it? It's from a place in North Yorkshire called, I think it's called the Forbidden Forest or the Forbidden Garden or something like that. So actually it looks like a little castle, but you actually walk through this mouth here in the real place to start going to this forest. So yeah, I got it from there. So, just a few things. So I've always struggled with trying to do too much. You know, come up with too many ideas, and you know, I just remember going back a good decade or so, maybe more than that, maybe 15 years ago. Just when I was starting my business, and I had too many things on the go. So my business is actually 12 years old now. So when I first started it, I had too many projects on. There was too many different things, and I used to just and the problem with trying to do too many things is you just can't put enough effort into each one of them. And you can do more than one multiple thing as long as you got that plan, like I said, and you're focused on 3 things a day. But trying to have loads of different projects, so I was trying to cover everything, right? And I was just spreading myself too thin, butterflying. And you know, one of the things that I learned to do was to use, it's like transferable skills. So I use what I mean by that, so transferable skills is like using the same techniques to achieve many different things, right? And whether that's like, I don't know, like a mental model that you use to approach everything. One of them that I use, obviously, is my top 3 things a day method and my goal achievement method, which I do. Obviously, it's in my journal, so I've started using it this morning, my new journal. There we go. It's probably back to front on a live, but the journal for goal achievement. Put a link down below if you want one. You can go and get yourself a copy. But that literally contains my goal achievement system. So this is how I can apply the same system to everything that I do. So, you know, whether I've got a project on my fitness, I've got my business, I've got the new business, and, you know, I've got like my social life and my family life and my personal life and all that kind of thing. So I've got lots of things that I have to cover, right? And yes, a planner is very helpful. That's why I use one. Have a plan. That's exactly right. Yeah, thanks for the comment. Yeah. So if you're going to juggle lots of different balls, you need to have a plan, right? Having a planner is the way to do it. And focusing on small, this is why I said the top 3 things today, focusing on small incremental progress towards your goals. But yeah, having those transferable skills or reusable mental models that you develop, and some of this is just like developing habits, basically. Habits of waking up early in the morning. I wake up early in the morning, have a bit of a routine, get up. I might train really early, and then I sit in my garden and I do my journal, which is now my new one, my journal for goal achievement. I then do some reading, and within that time I'm looking at my plan and I'm setting the intentions for my day. And I'll do like a small meditation as well. So I have that habit every day, and it means that every day is lived with intent, right? And then I know what I'm doing. I'm not saying I'm immune to procrastination, but if you just start the day like that, you can work very few hours and achieve far more, right? So you need to develop those reusable skills like that discipline and like that routine and setting your day with intent that can be applied to everything. And this is how you juggle multiple balls, because it doesn't matter what I'm doing, it's all the same, it's all treated the same. My approach to it is the same. And that's how to do it. So don't just like, you know, accept context switching all over the place and jumping from, you know, having people pull you from pillar to post. Start your day with some intent. Just write down, I literally just write down every day the 3 small things I will do today, right? I just write them down. I know what goal they're working towards, and that's it. And, you know, I might work on one particular goal this day and then the next day work on a different goal, and that's fine because, you know, you've got that intent there. All right, let's have a look at a few of these questions. There's quite a few. Yeah, coffee. You're from India, right? Cool. Yeah, everything's right. Okay. Riding a motorbike to and from work requires packaging much needed items. Right. Okay. So yeah. Okay. You're a gardener, right? Okay. So you take that to work with yourself, right? And then back home, sort the place out. Yeah. That's fine, right? So you've got all that preparation to do. You've got to pack up your stuff, ride a motorbike to work, right? You've got to take all the stuff with you. Yeah, but that should be just a habit, right? And I'm pretty sure it is, right? It's almost like, because some of the things, if you think about all the balls that you've got to juggle in life, you want to make the things that you do all the time, like small repeatable habits, and you want to get into like a flow state with them, so they're not taking up mental energy. So like the preparation of your equipment, right? and the stuff that you have to pack on that motorbike should be like, you should just get in a flow state with it, just so it's so easy, so it's just like a routine habit. And I'm pretty sure you do. That should not take up loads of mental bandwidth in your head. And then when you're riding motorbike as well, you can use, I know it's, because riding motorbike, driving, that is almost like a habit. It's like a motor skill, right? It's instinctual. Doesn't take much mental energy. So you can also think about other things like, a little bit more about your what you need to achieve for the day and things like that while you're driving. So you can that is the only time when you can double dip when you drive. So I do things like have phone calls when I drive. Like you're riding a motorbike, I'm driving a car. When I drive my car and I've got let's say I've got to drive for 2 hours, I will plan all my phone calls then, so I can get them all done. So squeezing them in. I don't believe in trying to do too much at once. You always want to focus on one thing. But that, to me, the driving the car or riding the motorbike does not take up loads of mental energy. And it allows you to do other things at once, even if that's just thinking about it. Once I'm back. I'm constantly working on the house. Yeah, I know. I was like that. I got my house in fairly good order now, but working on the house, yeah. This is another one. Like, how do you get into a flow state working on the house, whether that's just tidying the house or you've got loads of work to do on the house, again, there's no easy answer to it. If you've got building work to do, that is a project, really. That is not something you can just do as a secondary thing, as a lower priority. You've got to make that a primary goal. So when I talk about only having 3 to 4 goals at once and only making one of them a primary goal, I would make that your primary goal, right? Just to get it out the way. So if you've got your work in, as long as that's automated, your work's running, I would make getting your house sorted your primary goal. That's what I would do, just because that's going to take up so much headspace. You need it out of the way, so I would really focus on getting that finished, or if you can get someone to help you, get them to do it or whatever, but you need that out of the way because that's taking up so much kind of bandwidth in your head. So if you can get that out of the way as a primary goal, then you can focus on something new. Remodeling the garden, yeah. It sounds like you should make the house a primary goal, honestly, just to get it out of the way. Get some help as well if you've got family to help you, and then you can work on some new goals. So you should be able to get that done in sort of the next few months. I don't know what size of the project is, but you see, when I was doing my house, so kind of extending it and everything, it took me about a very long time. It took me about 4 years, right? Because I did it in stages, and I didn't have any money at the time as well. Like I had some money, but I was working in the city and I had to commute in, and I remember coming home and I was leaving early morning, getting on the tram. It's like a train, like a light train, into the city, working a full day, coming home, and then it was in the summer. I was getting on the roof, tiling the roof, on the extension. And it took me about 4 years because I did it in stages because I didn't have much money. But if I think back now, the amount of headspace that took, like it literally dominated my thoughts for 4 years. And I literally couldn't do anything else, It took up so much headspace. This is why I think you should make it a primary goal and see if you can focus on it and get it boxed off. Because at the time, I was doing that. I was also trying to do businesses and stuff like this, and I had my job and I was trying to do businesses as a side hustle. None of them were a primary goal. I was trying to do them all. And this is why I didn't manage to achieve anything. And I think that's what you need to do. So yeah, let's have a look at this comment. Yeah, okay. This is why I live in Poole, Dorset. That's a lovely part of the world, by the way, Poole, Dorset. I mean, just thinking this time of year, right? Poole, Dorset is absolutely lovely, right? So think of the summer that you could have if you get this house sorted, or at least livable. If I could go back, there's no way I would want, like when it took me 4 years, there's no way I'd want that done. I remember starting it thinking, oh, I'll have it done in 6 months. And I could have done. But the problem was I was trying to do everything as well. I was trying to get a business off the ground and everything else. And it was too much. And this is why I honestly think, yeah, it is tough, and I've been there, but you need to make that house your prime focus. If it's on in your mind all the time, right, make it your prime focus, right? Maybe create some projects. I did a few for my house, and going back when I was doing my house, I didn't have this goal achievement system. So obviously I've developed it now in the journal, but I didn't have it at the time. I didn't have a system to achieve things, but if I was going to approach that today, I would literally just create that project, you know, whatever it is. Or maybe break the house into, if it's a huge project, you could break it into smaller chunks. Like, you know, the garden could be separate from the, if is a building work to do, or is it interior work, like renovation inside, like painting, decorating, all that kind of thing, refurbing, or if it's a new build. Break it down, make maybe even a room. I had to do a room recently. I just created a little plan, like you know, I had a result, get the room to a state. I needed it as like a multifunctional room. I was using it as a gym, but I wanted it as like a spare room as well. So I needed like to put facility, like a bed in there that could be folded away. I wanted my gym equipment because it had to be a multifunctional room because I wasn't using it all the time. So I needed it to be a spare room for people to stay over. It needed lots of storage because I had a lot of stuff that I needed to store. And anyway, I got the whole thing done, wired, plastered, new furniture, everything, because I created this little plan, and it didn't. And rather than, like, you know, doing multiple rooms or the whole house, I did each room as a little project. And then I managed to do it quite quickly. So why don't you have a go at that? I mean, send me an email if you want, or message me, go to my website and just reach out if you're really struggling, and I'll help you. We did room by room start with. Yeah, that's it, in an old 60s house. Yeah, I love them houses. Yeah, my house was built in 1960, by the way. I do have another project to do in the future, and this is a big. I hate dealing with it. I used to be in property. Well, no, I was in construction and architecture in a previous life. So I was into, you know, construction all the time. I've been in it my whole life. I now make software for the construction industry, so I've become a bit detached from the physical side of it. But I never liked the idea of doing houses up. You know, I used to always do my own, but I've got this other project to do, which is like a massive Victorian place, and it's got lots of period features inside, and it needs renovating. And it's absolutely huge, and I've got that coming down. I'm not looking forward to it at all. But I'm going to approach it the same way. You know, I've got my planning system. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to break that down into manageable chunks. Just get rid of this notification. Manageable chunks, and I'm going to box it off. It doesn't kind of faze me. Hang on, I've got all these notifications coming up. So annoying. Yeah, so that is what I will do when I get onto this house project. I'm actually looking at converting it into a 6 bed HMO. It's massive in a town centre, and it is a big project, and I'm a little bit against taking it on right because I've got so much on with my business and things. So this is why I'm likely not to start it yet, because even if you want to juggle too many balls, there's always a time when you start things and take on too much. So like me, if I'm deep into business projects, I don't want to be like taking on a new house or a new house renovation or something like that, because that's just going to completely overwhelm you. So if you are in that stage where you're renovating that house, I wouldn't take on much else while you're in that phase. I would literally make that your primary goal, get it out of the way, you know, create that plan, work on 3 things a day. What are the top 3 things I'll work on today, right? And just be disciplined on them 3 things. Having that plan and that bit of discipline on working on those 3 things a day stops you context switching. It stops you, you know, being pulled from pillar to post by all these different things. So yeah, just to recap, you know, having that plan, right? Create that plan. So in your life, you always want about 3 or 4 goals. Only one of them a primary goal, right? Make one of them a primary goal. The others are, you know, supplementary goals, like. And then every day, just start each day with intent. What are the top 3 things that I need to do today? And be disciplined and get them out of the way first. Do them early in the morning. And then once they're done, pressure's off. You can then, it's okay to procrastinate because you've already achieved your 3 things. And that's the secret. That's the secret to procrastination, having a plan, focusing on 3 small things a day. That is it. All right, I am going to get stuck in some reading now because it's Sunday, so I need to do a lot of reading. It's quite cold outside, but I'll be all right. So thank you for joining the live, and yeah, see you all next time.